Welcome to the University of Arkansas Rome program. Today we will talk about smart cities, and I have a special guest with us. Welcome to Valina Geropanta. Before I start with the questions to our guest, I'd like to introduce her background. So Valina, she's assistant professor of urban planning with new technologies at the Technical University of Crete, Faculty of Architecture. She holds a PhD in the field of smart city from the University of Sapienza, Italy, and an MA in housing and urbanism from Architectural Association, School of Architecture, London, UK, and a master's degree in architect engineering from the University of Patras. Her research interests are on the transformation of cities because of the contemporary global challenges through the smart, intelligent city model. Her latest research project looks at the ICT methodologies for making human settlements more inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable, at contemporary approaches to conservation, promotion of cultural heritage with the use of ICT, at sustainable smart tourism, and exploration of the future of architectural education. She has participated in various European research projects in capacity building in the field of smart tourism, smart cities, while she has been awarded with grants for research and lecturing in Cambridge, Peru, Qatar, Korea, and so on. She has published extensively on urban and architectural issues with ICT, smart cities, smart tourism, and so on, and she is co-editor of 2 books. She has also an extensive participation in international conferences, workshops, seminars, while she currently serves as a reviewer and part of editorial board for international scientific journals. In 2018, she was nominated for the RIBA International Award 2019 for her contribution in architecture through leadership of thought, education, and research. I hope I gave enough information about you, Valina. Is there anything you want to add, some things that I missed out of our introduction to your professional and academic background?
Hello everybody, thank you so much for having me here today. No, I think you covered it completely. I'm very happy to be part of your program, and thank you.
Valina, I have a number of questions for you.
I'm glad.
And I'm going to start with the first one. So you have a lot of experience in smart cities, smart tourism, and the use of ICT as largely documented by your research, publications, and various academic activities. For about a decade, the word smart city is becoming more and more popular nowadays, and everybody talks about it. But then, Valina, could you please explain, but in very simple terms, what is it exactly a smart city?
Yes, sir. You're very right. Many academic disciplines, among which ours, including architecture, planning, in all scales planning, today they have included in their discussion this topic. In fact, it has become a term which is present in everywhere in daily life, and it counts a large number of participants and cities that enter the smart world. But when it comes to give a precise and concise and unique definition, then we have all of us working with the field, we are in front of a difficulty. There are very different visions and scopes, and each institution, each part that works with a smart city works with very different tools, and therefore leads to very different results. For example, when we talk about large corporations, then the smart city, in very simple terms, is the act of using technology, of using communication technology in detail to provide services and to solve everyday problems to the city, for the city. In this case, what does the smart city do? In this case, the smart city solves problems such as connectivity, it gives a voice to citizens, it improves all the social services for the citizens, it solves traffic issues, and all of these things related to the everyday life. However, if we look at how the large institutions, such as the UN, United Nations, approach the topic, then we are in front of a very different argument about what the smart city is. The smart city, in this case, is used to define all possible solutions to sustainability problems deriving from the large urbanization of the last few years, environmental degradation, climate change, all of these things that refer to what we call the global challenges. In this case, the smart city tries to do a very different thing in relation to what we said before. It aims at ameliorating human health. So it deals with everything that has to do with well-being, with quality of life, with urban health in general. And this includes also the ecological aspect, the environmental aspect, the economical aspect, the social aspect, and so on. Generally, and I conclude here, what I'm trying to say to my students is that all of these topics are relevant. All of these things are important when we talk about the smart city. And if we put together a discussion about the mega challenges we have in the that contemporary humanity faces, if we, along with the trends that we have today, such as technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of these concepts that help people participate in the decision making, then we might lead to new design experiences. So for me, is the collection of these three mega big issues together.
So it is a pretty broad...
It's a pretty broad definition, a pretty broad topic, yes.
All right.
And very interdisciplinary.
Yes. Thanks for the clarification, because again, everybody's talking about smart cities, and so we need to better understand what it is all about.
Yes, it all depends on who is talking and how you deal with that. And a large misconception that there is in this topic is when people think that it's all about technology. This is not true. We have the help of information technology, of course, but this is not the heart and the nature of the smart city.
I understand.
Technology is helping us to perform better and to become better, but it's only a tool.
Okay, very good. Thanks a lot for the clarification. Let's go back for a moment to the ICT part of the topic. So, looking at the ICT infrastructure of smart cities and their profound addiction to technology, do you think that smart cities, they age quicker than non-smart cities?
Yes, I believe that, and no, I don't believe that.
Okay, great.
And let me tell you a very small story behind that.
Please.
The first time I officially declared that I would like to explore this field and the new trends in urban planning that was creating a bridge with this topic, I had a rather small group of unfaithful friends nodding and showing pity for me for all of the years that I would lose in a field that will last as long as a firework. Back at that time, which was in the beginning of the 2012 in detail, even for the most passionate urban planners, the truth was that we just couldn't imagine how urban planning, how our field in general, architecture, can move forward a bit faster than what it used to do before. All of these disciplines had a very slow metabolism. They were constructed on hundreds of years of best practices, and especially in South European cities, where back in 2010, if you remember, there was not so much space to think that we could do things because we were living under a devastated regime of crisis. Lack of funding, lack of inspiration, and a large, dense constructed ambient just were holding us behind from experimenting with tools. But then, if you notice, and if you go back and see all the press house dealing this topic, which is the easier way to notice, these signs of sudden change have appeared from the 2014 and afterwards. It feels like our disciplines, including in all scales, the work in all scales, are now able to move much more faster in more exciting, fresh and innovative ideas that are coming out from the light in all corners of the globe. Plenty of ideas are pushing technology beyond just being online, stack paperwork, or new thing or other things relevant to that. What did it change? And here I'm trying to, with a small story, to answer to your question. The truth is that we didn't wake up one day and we just saw things moving faster. No. What we did is that we're trying to we started observing the changes in the state of mind of entrepreneurs. We started observing where the market directions are going, where the world is moving, and suddenly it is as if all disciplines, including ours, is shifting, is taking the same direction, the technological one. This brought us to discover what? This brought us to discover that real-time information and technology allow changes to happen in zero time. We can inform all interesting parts that they participate in the discussion for the project for the city in zero time. We can solve daily problems in zero time. So from this perspective, for sure, understanding the value and the benefits of real-time information, data, for sure it made us think that all cities that integrate the smart technologies in the projects for the city suddenly are quick, they move fast, and suddenly we can solve everything. There is a small issue here, and that's why I told you I don't believe it either. The thing is that this knowledge does not mean for sure that it follows the rhythms and the speed of the policymakers or of the local governance institutions. Even if a policy arrives very fast from a national level to a local level, it doesn't mean that there is enough training, enough knowledge, or enough organization, enough management that follows these trends, that is able to follow up with the whole process.
I see.
So we have seen a lot of examples in many cities of the world talking about smart city, having their funding, having technologies, and not knowing what to do.
Ah, I see. Oh gosh, that's a problem.
That's a problem. So I'm not sure if we are really becoming faster when we are entering in the smart city projects, but I am sure that we benefit, that we can make a lot of profit for this, from these technologies at a design scale and for the citizens' sake. But there is a lot to be done yet.
I see. All right, I would say let's now talk a little bit about space. So speaking about the spatial implications of smart city strategies, what is the role of architects and urban designers, as well as landscape designers and interior designers in transforming a city into a smart city? Can you please tell us?
Yes, this is a very valid question, and I must say that is one of the most common questions that is set to all of us, to all architects working with this field, and it's a very complicated question and very difficult question to answer. Using technology does not mean that we will invent some new typology, architectural typology, or that the smart neighborhoods will now be more elegant, more squared, or they will have a different morphology as the architectural and urban design of the 90s was predicting. The distinctive element in this specific topic when working with a smart city is that in smart neighborhoods, for example, I'm using this scale, but this is for every scale, we can acquire immediate knowledge about the challenges of the specific area. We can acquire knowledge about the problematics, about the citizens' behavior in that specific place. We can know what are the plans of stakeholders, of the governance, of everyone that regard the specific place and the specific time. Through electronic sensors, we can do something different. We can have a very clear idea of how this place works, how this place reacts to all of the above mentioned forces, to the people that behave in a way, to the governors that have certain plans, to the stakeholders and developers that they want to make profit. So through electronic sensors, what we do is that we reveal the possibilities that there exist in that place. In this way, our architectural reasoning is now acquiring a very different role. It's a very different way that our discipline is dealing with the design. Our drawings now could reflect what? Could reflect this partnership, could reflect all of these people that they are interested in that specific part. This is something that until now we didn't have it. We might have asked our clients some things, we might have asked the municipality some things if it's about a public project, but we never have had a plan that can depict everybody's opinion. And this is the unique part about as architects, as urban planners, as interior designers working with the field. We have now a different way of depicting realities and a different way of mixing the parts and working with the parts. All of these processes, they help us work in very different, in all scales. Before, an architect was looking at the building and he was limited there. Now there is this what we call the ripple effect. The architects working with smart technologies at this building scale, he brings a huge impact at the block scale, the urban block, he brings a huge impact in the district scale, and this brings a huge impact in the city scale. So each one of us is responsible for this impact. And each one of us is now showing what will be by our small project, our little small, let's say, square meters that we are dealing, how it will be the future of the city.
I see. I would say let's now talk a little bit about the University of Arkansas Rome program, because actually, Valina, you know that our students they come to Rome to for about a semester, their semester abroad. And since 2012, through the Sustainable Mobility Plan, the Municipality of Rome is developing initiatives focused on intelligent urban mobility, such as e-mobility devices, car sharing, carpooling, ICT control to manage the traffic. But so here is the question: what our American students can learn from the smart city initiatives undertaken in Rome so far?
So there are so many things that we can learn from Rome example, and I am so jealous about your students that they are coming here for the semester. What I would say to them is that Rome is one of the most exciting historical cities of the world, and needed for solutions that with an extreme difficulty. What was extreme difficulty? Yeah. We cannot intervene in a historical tissue that simply cannot be changed. We cannot change the historical tissue. So how do we do that? From where do we start? And what these projects that you mentioned taught us is that in these extreme conditions where you simply cannot touch any piece of the city, urban design and urban planning and architecture can enter a whole new phase. Looking at innovation as a fruitful objective and focusing our attention on how to solve the big city challenges with technology, with information technology, we managed to change our whole perception about the mobility in Rome. In this relatively big but fascinating trip, many ideas come out and many synergies are now depicted as what I was referring before. We now see people working closely with data. We now see problems solved, such as the traffic issue. Although you might not know it, the traffic problem was a huge problem in Rome. And right now, all of these applications and all of these new ways of sharing vehicles, sharing motorbikes, sharing cars, what they are actually solving in the long term is traffic. How? When you can read so easily, you can find so easily everywhere in the city a vehicle to rent only by doing a few clicks in your cell phone, then for sure. You don't need to have a car, right?
True.
So you don't need to have any more in your property. All of these thoughts, you don't need in your property a car. You don't need all of these thoughts that come along with that. You just take a car and you leave it and you park it in places that they are assigned or in other places in any parking, and you just move fast. These cars, what they have in particular is that they are all electrical cars, so they don't consume any energy, so they are environmental friendly, and since we take them for a very small time frame, they don't create a large traffic congestion. This is only an example. There are so many examples that they follow exactly this paradigm that you gave. Another one is related to the public transportation means. After many years of having difficulties, because imagine that here having a metro is something extremely difficult. We need to go very low underground. There is a whole historical city which is laid on the bottom of our city. So you walk in the street and underneath there is another one. So imagine how deep you need to go. Suddenly, we just don't need new lines. You know why? Because it's so well managed through the applications, the time needed, or the presentation of the timetables of the buses, so people do not need to queue and do not need to be in a rush. And these are, I think, exceptional things for a city like Rome.
So we might say that for our students it might be a daily life, a real life experience, because if they decide to come here, they can really experience themselves any kind of these tools towards the smart mobility, which is really interesting.
I think it will be for them, it will be a unique experience. Just imagine having so easily at your disposal a motorbike or a bike, a bicycle, and be able to go around the historical center, which is wonderful, without thinking how to move from one place to the other. Wherever you are, they are everywhere.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic,
really
yes.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, so I have one more question, our last question for you, Valina. And so let's try to stimulate the imagination of our listener, of all the people who will be listening and watching this video interview. So we think of Rome as a smart city. Could you please share with us how would you imagine it in 30 years' time?
Well, that's another very good question, very interesting. I will start by saying that though the term smart cities is new, in Rome specifically, the idea is not new at all. Ancient Roman cities actually used elements of the concept, such as using technology to ameliorate their citizens' life. From in the history, we know so many examples. Aqueducts and water drainage systems are just two ways they did that, and students, when they will come, they will be able to go and visit them and understand all the brilliance that there is there. But now, talking about smart city, today, March 2021, is a very different time, since Rome, as well as all cities of the world, are facing a global crisis, and I'm talking about the one of the pandemic. The decisions people and governments are taking right now, and the ones that they will take in the next few months because of the pandemics, will probably shape the world for all the years to come. They will shape not just our healthcare systems, as you see what happens with all hospitals in Rome, but also our economy, our politics, our culture, and all of the way in which we deal with technology, right? One example is exactly what we do here.
Yeah.
So there is something that is blurring our image from a city that will solve day by day its daily problems, to a city that is undertaking measures right now in order to solve a huge crisis, the one of the pandemic, some of which measures might have non-predictable consequences. What I mean by that? I mean that in a state of emergency, such as now, we are familiarizing many technologies in order to solve the problems and the crises that we have right now. For sure, we managed to do a lot of things. We managed to be here, continue our work. We managed to continue offering education to students. We managed to do a number of things that some years ago would seem impossible. However, these technologies have not been tested, and we don't know whether they will stay forever. We don't know whether they will be obsolete. We don't know whether they will have an impact and what this impact will be. We have no idea right now how people will react once all of this story is gone. I have so many friends and colleagues that they tell me they don't want to go back to physical presence, you know, because they are very comfortable at home.
No.
I know so many institutions in Rome that they have transferred all their cultural material, cultural heritage online, and they are creating virtual tours. Of course, for us now, this is amazing because they can continue working and people can continue spread the culture everywhere in the globe. But what would this mean for tourism next year or in the years to come? So I have a bit of doubts, and to answer specifically what will be the future of the city, considering the use of technology. For sure, I imagine it a much better managed city. For sure, I imagine also that once technology is here, people are getting used to it. So a lot of processes that previously would require so much time, now we'll do them much faster, and it will be such a good city in terms of performance, in terms of how it functions and works. However, we don't know what it will be for the citizens. Are citizens going to stay home? Are they going to come back to work? Are they going to be depressed? Are they going to be happy?
True.
We have no idea. So I will just leave it to your students to try to imagine with all of the tools they have in mind, and try to work on that.
All right, I think this answer is really challenging, because you didn't provide your own very special opinion, but you left the answer open to our students, which I think it is the best way to conclude this interview. So I think this could be nice. Everybody can, start imagining the future of a city like Rome, and maybe we will meet each other in 10 years' time to talk one more time about this and look at the results. So I think it was a very interesting conversation, a lot of interesting clarifications about smart cities, a lot of challenges for the future. So I'm really happy, Valina.
I'm also very happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah, you were a very nice guest, and I hope there will be other chances maybe in the future to talk again about smart cities.
I would be very happy to hear what your students are thinking about their places in the world where these things happen, about in relation to our city here where technology is integrating the city. I would be very happy to follow up.
All right, fantastic. Let's see what happens.
Thank you.
All right, so thanks again, Valina. Thanks again, everybody, for being very patient and listening the entire interview. We hope it was kind of useful to everybody, not only the students, but all the people interested in these kind of topics. I hope to meet you next time for the next interview. Bye, everybody.